All right, I'm still in a learning curve, and I'm going to read another poem by Robert Service, The Shooting of Dan McGrew. A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute saloon. The kid that handles the music box was hitting a jag-time tune. Back of the bar in a solo game sat Dangerous Dan McGrew, and watching his luck was his light o' love, the lady that's known as Lou. When out of the night, which was 50 below, and into the din and the glare, there stumbled a miner, fresh from the creeks, dog dirty and loaded for bear. He looked like a man with a foot in the grave and scarcely the strength of a louse, yet he tilted a poke of dust on the bar, and he called for drinks from the house. There was none that could place the stranger's face, though we searched ourselves for a clue, but we drank his health, and the last to drink was Dangerous Dan McGrew. There's men that somehow just grip your eyes and hold them hard like a spell, and such was he, and he looked to me like the man who had lived in hell, with a face most hair and the dreary stare of a dog whose day is done, and he watered the green stuff in his glass, and the drops fell one by one. Then I got to figuring who he was and wondered what he'd do, and I turned my head, and there was watching him was the lady that was known as Lou. His eyes went rubbing round the room, and he seemed in sort of a daze, till at last the old piano fell in the way of his wandering gaze. The ragtime kid was having a drink, and there was none else on the stool, so the stranger stumbled across the room and flops down there like a fool. For a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway, and then he clutched the keys with his taloned hands. My God, that man could play. Were you ever to the great alone when the moon was awfully clear, and the icy mountains hummed you in with a silence you most could hear, with only the howl of a timber wolf, and you camped there in the cold, a half-dead thing in stark dead world, clean mad for the muck called gold, while high tumbered overhead, green, yellow, and red, the north lights swept in bars? Then you've a haunt what the music meant. Hunger and night and the stars, and hunger not of the belly kind that's banished with bacon and beans, but the gnawing hunger of a lonely man for a home and all that it means, for a fireside far from the cares that are, four walls and a roof above, but oh, crammed of cozy joy and crowned with a woman's love. A woman dearer than all the world, and true as heaven is true. God, how ghastly she looks through her rouge, that lady known as Lou. Then on a sudden the music changed, so soft that you could scarcely hear, but you felt that your life had been bluted clean of all that it once held dear, that someone had stolen the woman you loved, that her love was a devil's lie, that your guts were gone, and the best for you was to crawl away and die. 'Twas the crowning cry of a heart's despair, and it thrilled you through and through. I guess I'll make it spread Adieu, said Dangerous Dan McGrew. The music almost died away. Then it burst like a pent-up flood, and it seemed to say, replay, repay, and eyes were blind with blood. The thought came back of an ancient wrong, and it stung like a frozen lash, and the last lust awoke to kill, then the music stopped with a crash, and the stranger turned, and his eyes, they burned in a most peculiar way. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway. Then his lips went in with a kind of grin, and he spoke, and his voice was calm. And boys, says he, you don't know me, and none of you care a damn, but I want to state, and my words are straight, and I'll bet my poke this is true, that one of you is a hound of hell, and that one is Dan McGrew. Then I ducked my head and the lights went out and 2 guns blazed in the dark. And a woman screamed and the lights went up and 2 men lay in the dark. Pitched on his head and pumped full of lead was Dangerous Dan McGrew, while the man from the creek lay clutched to the breast of the lady that's known as Lou. These are the simple facts of the case, and I guess I ought to know. They say that the stranger was crazed with hooch, and I'm not denying it's so. I'm not so wise as the lawyer guys, but strictly between us 2. The woman that kissed him and pinched his poke was a lady known as Lou. I think that's fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And it's a nice night out.